Amina was the heart of the village of Isale. Her voice was as sweet as the morning birds, filling the air with joy every time she sang. People gathered under the big baobab tree just to hear her sing. Mothers hummed her songs to their babies, and the elders smiled proudly when her voice echoed through the village. Amina's singing was a gift from the ancestors, or so the villagers said. But one fateful day, as Amina sat by the river, washing her clothes and singing softly, something strange happened. A cool breeze blew from the direction of the Mbali Forest, a place full of mystery and magic. The wind seemed to carry a whisper, soft and eerie. It called to Amina, making her pause her song and look toward the dark, towering trees in the distance. The breeze made the hairs on her neck stand up. Was someone calling her from the forest? Or was it just her imagination? That night, Amina couldn't stop thinking about the Mbali Forest. The whispers echoed in her mind, growing louder and clearer as the night deepened. Amina! Amina! The voice seemed to call her name over and over again. She tossed and turned in her sleep, her heart racing with fear and curiosity. At dawn, Amina decided to visit the forest. Everyone in Isale knew the Mbali Forest was enchanted. The stories warned of strange creatures and powerful spirits that lived among the trees. But Amina felt a pull she couldn't resist. She tiptoed through the village, careful not to wake anyone, and made her way toward the forest. As she entered the shadowy woods, the wind whispered again, this time clearer than ever. It was a song, sweet but haunting, like something from a dream. Deeper into the forest, Amina walked, her heart pounding in her chest. The trees stood tall and silent, their branches twisting like the fingers of an ancient giant. Suddenly, the path before her shimmered, and a figure appeared in the mist, a tall woman, cloaked in shadows. She had eyes as bright as the stars and skin the color of the night sky. She smiled at Amina, her lips moving without sound. Amina tried to speak, but no words came out. The woman raised a finger to her lips as if to hush her, then pointed to a small, glowing flower by the side of the path. The flower's light pulsed, growing brighter and dimmer, like a heartbeat. As Amina reached for it, the woman disappeared, and darkness rushed in. Amina's voice vanished with the wind, and only silence remained. When Amina returned to the village of Isale, something was terribly wrong. She opened her mouth to greet the villagers, but no sound came out. Her voice was gone, completely gone. She tried to scream, to sing, to hum, but there was nothing but a hollow silence. Panic filled her chest as she clutched her throat, tears welling in her eyes. The villagers noticed immediately. They gathered around her, asking what had happened, but Amina could only shake her head, her hands trembling. The village elder, Mama Zina, touched Amina's shoulder gently. The Mbali Forest, Mama Zina whispered, her old eyes full of concern. That place is full of spirits and magic. Something has taken your voice, child. You must get it back before it's too late. That night, strange things began to happen in Isale. As the moon rose high in the sky, an eerie melody drifted through the village. It was a soft, ghostly song, much like Amina's voice, but colder, full of sorrow. The villagers woke from their sleep, shivering as the haunting tune wrapped around them like a chill. They gathered by their windows, fear etched on their faces. Amina stood in the middle of the village, her heart heavy with guilt. Was this her fault? Had her voice become something dark and twisted? Mama Zina called for a village meeting the next day, urging everyone to stay inside at night. We don't know what's out there, she warned, but it's not friendly. Determined to reclaim her voice and save her village from the strange haunting, Amina set off on a journey. She packed a small bag with food and water and said goodbye to her family, promising to return with her voice. The villagers watched her leave, their faces full of worry and hope. Mama Zina pressed a small, carved amulet into Amina's hand before she left. "This will protect you," she said. "The spirits are powerful, but so are you. Trust your heart." Amina nodded, her silent lips forming a determined smile. She had to be brave. Her voice, her village, and her future depended on it. As Amina journeyed deeper into the wilderness, she found herself facing the first of many tests. The path ahead was blocked by a rushing river, too wide and wild to cross. The water churned angrily, as if warning her to turn back. But Amina knew she couldn't. She had to find a way across. Suddenly, the wind carried the haunting song again, faint but unmistakable. Amina's heart skipped a beat. Was her voice somewhere beyond this river? She knelt by the water's edge, her mind racing. How could she cross? She had no boat, and the river was too dangerous to swim. Just as she was losing hope, a large turtle appeared on the shore. Its shell was wide and strong, and its eyes glistened with wisdom. The turtle seemed to understand Amina's plight and slowly moved toward her. Without a word, Amina climbed onto its back, and the turtle carried her safely across the river, its smooth movements a quiet miracle. As Amina ventured further into the forest, she met a mischievous spirit named Sefiu. Sefiu was small, with sharp eyes and a grin that stretched from ear to ear. He hopped from tree to tree, watching Amina closely. "What brings a human to the deep woods?" he asked, his voice playful but dangerous. Amina pointed to her throat and then to the forest, trying to explain that she had lost her voice. Sefiu's eyes gleamed with curiosity. "Oh, the voice that sings at night. I've heard it. It is a beautiful sound, but it no longer belongs to you, does it?" Amina shook her head, desperate to know more, but Sefiu only laughed. "If you want your voice back, you need to play a game with me." He darted into the shadows, leaving Amina standing alone, wondering what trick he had planned. Amina followed the mischievous Sefiu deeper into the forest. He leaped from branch to branch, his laughter echoing through the trees. Soon, they reached a clearing where a circle of stones lay on the ground. "This is my game," Sefiu grinned, his sharp teeth gleaming. "To win back your voice, you must pass through the circle without being seen by me. But beware, I am faster than the wind." Amina knew she had no choice but to play. She studied the stones carefully, trying to figure out how to outsmart the sly spirit. Sefiu disappeared into the trees, his eyes glowing like fireflies in the dark. Amina took a deep breath and began to move toward the circle. Each step was slow and careful, her heart pounding in her chest. But just as she was about to reach the stones, Sefiu appeared in a blur, blocking her path. He laughed, spinning in circles around her. "Too slow, too slow. You'll never get your voice back like this." Amina felt her frustration grow. But instead of giving up, she tried again, this time using the shadows of the trees to hide her movements. With every attempt, she got a little closer to the circle. After several failed attempts, Amina realized she needed to outthink Sefiu, not outrun him. She noticed how he always appeared when she made a sound or stepped into the light. That gave her an idea. She waited until Sefiu was far enough away, then grabbed a small rock and tossed it into the bushes, creating a noise on the other side of the clearing. After Sefiu's game, the path ahead grew darker and more treacherous. The trees seemed to close in around Amina, their branches curling like claws. Strange sounds echoed in the distance, whispers, growls, and the soft rustle of unseen creatures. Amina's heart raced, but she pressed on, clutching the protective amulet Mama Zina had given her. As she walked, the eerie song began again. This time, it was louder, as if it were coming from just beyond the next bend. Amina quickened her pace, hoping that she was getting closer to finding her lost voice. But when she rounded the corner, she froze in terror. In the clearing ahead stood a tall, dark figure, its face hidden by a hood. Its long, bony fingers clutched a wooden staff, and the air around it crackled with energy. The figure turned toward Amina, and though she couldn't see its face, she felt its gaze pierce through her. The spirit stepped forward, its cloak billowing like a storm. "I am the spirit of silence," it spoke in a voice that was both soft and powerful. "You have come seeking what was taken from you, but you must prove yourself worthy." Amina nodded, trembling but determined. She pointed to her throat, trying to communicate that she had lost her voice and needed it back. The spirit of silence studied her for a long moment before speaking again. "Your voice is not lost, it has merely been hidden, waiting for you to reclaim it," the spirit said. "But to do so, you must answer a question. Speak the truth, and your voice will return. Lie, and you will never sing again." Amina's heart pounded in her chest. She could feel the weight of the spirit's words. This was a chance, but what question would the spirit ask? The spirit of silence leaned closer to Amina, its dark cloak brushing the ground. "Here is my question," it said slowly. "Why did you seek the power of your voice in the first place? Was it for yourself, or was it for others?" Amina's mind raced. She had always loved singing, but now she wondered why it had been so important to her. Was it because it made her happy, or because it brought joy to the people of Isale? She thought of the villagers gathering to hear her sing, their smiles and the peace her songs brought them. She looked up at the spirit, her eyes full of honesty, and mouth for them. The spirit of silence studied her, its gaze softening. "You have spoken the truth," it said quietly. "Your voice was never truly lost, it was waiting for your heart to guide you back to it." As soon as the spirit of silence spoke, a strange warmth filled Amina's chest. She opened her mouth to speak, and to her amazement, a soft sound escaped her lips. Her voice had returned. Tears filled Amina's eyes as she tested her voice, humming a familiar tune. The melody was stronger, richer than before, as if her journey had deepened her connection to her gift. The spirit of silence nodded and slowly faded into the shadows. "Your voice is yours again," it whispered before disappearing entirely. Amina stood alone in the clearing, her heart full of gratitude and relief. She had done it, she had reclaimed her voice. But as the forest grew quiet around her, Amina realized her journey was not yet over. Strange things were still happening in Isale, and the eerie song continued to haunt the village at night. She had found her voice, but the mystery of the haunting melodies remained. Amina made her way back to Isale, her heart lighter now that her voice had returned. The villagers welcomed her with open arms, overjoyed to hear her sing once more. But even as Amina sang for her people, something felt off. The haunting melody that had plagued the village at night still lingered in the air, faint but persistent. Mama Zina called Amina aside one evening after the villagers had gathered to hear her sing. "Your voice has returned, child," Mama Zina said, her brow furrowed in concern, "but something is not right. The song that haunts our nights, it is not yours alone. There is another power at work here." Amina's heart sank. Could it be that the spirit of silence was not the only force behind her lost voice? She realized that her journey might not be over after all. There was still a deeper mystery to uncover, one that could hold even more danger than the first. Night after night, the haunting song returned. It filled the village with a strange, uneasy feeling, making it hard for anyone to sleep. The villagers whispered in fear, wondering what kind of spirit had attached itself to Amina's voice. Some even began to avoid her, afraid that her return had brought something dark with it. Amina couldn't shake the feeling that the song was trying to tell her something. Each night, she stood at her window, listening to the eerie melody float through the air. It sounded so familiar, but at the same time, it was unlike anything she had ever heard before. The song seemed to call to her, beckoning her back into the forest. Desperate for answers, Amina returned to Mama Zina. "The song won't stop," she said, her voice trembling. "I need to know where it's coming from. What if I didn't fully reclaim my voice?" Mama Zina nodded thoughtfully, her eyes closed as she listened to the wind. "There is an old shrine deep within the Mbali Forest," she said at last. "It is a place forgotten by time, where the spirits of the forest once gathered. If there is an answer to this mystery, it will be found there." Amina knew she had no choice but to return to the forest. The villagers' fears were growing, and the sleepless nights were taking a toll on everyone. She gathered her courage and set out once again, this time determined to face whatever awaited her at the forgotten shrine. As Amina made her way back into the Mbali Forest, the air grew thick with mist. The trees seemed taller, darker than before, and the song echoed around her, guiding her deeper into the woods. Every step felt heavier, as though the forest itself was testing her resolve. After hours of walking, she came upon an ancient stone structure, half hidden by vines and moss. The forgotten shrine. It was silent, save for the faint hum of the eerie melody that had haunted her dreams. Amina approached cautiously, her heart racing. Something was waiting for her here. As Amina stepped closer to the shrine, a cold breeze swept through the air, and the haunting melody grew louder. Suddenly, the shadows shifted, and a figure emerged from the darkness. It was the same spirit that had taken her voice, the tall, cloaked figure with bony fingers and a hidden face. "You have returned," the spirit said, its voice echoing in the stillness. "But you are not alone in your song. There is another who shares your gift, and it is their voice that haunts the village." Amina's heart skipped a beat. Another voice. Could it be that she was not the only one affected by the spirit's magic? Amina's heart raced as she processed the spirit's words. "Another voice?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Who could it be?" The spirit stepped forward, the air around it crackling with energy. "Long ago, there were two who were blessed with voices that could enchant the world," it explained. "One was you, and the other was a soul who now lingers in the shadows. You reclaimed your voice, but the other remains lost, haunting the village with their sorrow." Amina felt a chill run down her spine. "Who is this other person?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The spirit's eyes glowed faintly beneath its hood. "To uncover the truth, you must follow the song to its source," it said. "But be warned, the path ahead is filled with dangers that will test your courage and your heart." Amina nodded, determined to find this mysterious other voice. She thanked the spirit and turned away from the shrine, the haunting melody still echoing in her mind. The path ahead was uncertain, but she knew she had to follow the song. As Amina ventured deeper into the forest, the eerie song seemed to split into two distinct melodies. One was her own, the familiar tune she had sung for years. The other was strange and haunting, filled with sorrow and longing. It was as if two voices were singing together, echoing through the trees. The deeper Amina went, the stronger the second voice became. It was a voice filled with pain, as if it had been trapped in the forest for a long time, forgotten by the world. Amina felt a pang of sadness in her chest. Whoever this other voice was, they were suffering, and she needed to help them. The forest grew darker as the two voices intertwined, pulling her toward a hidden place. She could feel the weight of the spirit's warning, but she knew there was no turning back now. After hours of walking, Amina arrived at a river she had never seen before. Its waters were dark and still, reflecting the stars above like a mirror. The two voices echoed across the river, louder than ever. Amina felt drawn to the water's edge, but she hesitated, sensing something strange about the river. As she knelt by the water, her reflection shimmered and changed. Instead of her own face, she saw the image of another girl, one who looked like her but with eyes full of sorrow. Amina gasped and stepped back. Who was this girl, and why did she feel so familiar? Suddenly, the voice of the spirit echoed in her mind. "The river holds the memories of those who have been lost to time," it whispered. "To find the other voice, you must cross the river and confront the past." Amina's heart pounded. She knew the journey ahead would not be easy, but she was ready to face whatever awaited her on the other side of the river. Amina searched for a way to cross the river, but there was no bridge, and the water looked too dangerous to swim through. Just as she began to lose hope, a soft light appeared in the distance. She turned and saw a small, wooden boat drifting toward her, guided by an unseen force. The boat stopped at the edge of the river, as if waiting for her. Amina hesitated, but she knew she had no choice. She stepped into the boat, and it began to glide across the water, the eerie song growing louder with each passing moment. As the boat carried her toward the other side, Amina felt a strange sensation, as if the river itself was whispering secrets to her. The memories of the past swirled around her, and she saw flashes of a life she didn't recognize, images of a girl, alone and singing to the trees, her voice filled with sorrow. When Amina reached the other side of the river, she stepped out of the boat and found herself standing in a strange, misty clearing. The eerie song was louder here, almost deafening, and she could feel the presence of the other voice close by. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the mist. It was the girl Amina had seen in the river's reflection, the one with eyes full of sorrow. The girl looked at Amina with a mixture of surprise and pain. "You came," the girl said, her voice soft but haunting. "I've been waiting for so long." Amina's heart ached as she realized the truth. "Who are you?" she asked, though deep down, she already knew. "I am your sister," the girl replied, her voice trembling. "We were born together, but I was lost to the forest long ago. My voice was taken, and I have been trapped here ever since." Amina stared at the girl in disbelief. "My sister," she whispered, her mind racing. She had no memory of ever having a sister, but the connection she felt to this girl was undeniable. The girl nodded, her eyes filled with tears. "We were separated when we were very young. The spirits of the forest took me away, and I have been wandering here ever since, singing my sorrow into the night." Amina's heart ached for her sister. She couldn't imagine the pain of being trapped in the forest for so long, her voice lost and forgotten. "I'm so sorry," Amina said, tears welling up in her eyes. "I didn't know." The girl smiled sadly. "It's not your fault. But now that you found me, maybe we can finally be free." Amina reached out and took her sister's hand, feeling a surge of warmth and sadness wash over her. "I will help you," she promised. "We will find a way to free your voice and bring you home." Her sister nodded, though doubt lingered in her eyes. "The spirits won't let me go easily," she said. "They've kept me here for so long. But if we work together, maybe we can break the curse." Amina squeezed her sister's hand tightly. She knew this journey was far from over, but she felt stronger now that she wasn't alone. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead and reclaim the voice that had been stolen. As the two sisters began their journey back through the forest, Amina's sister explained the curse that had bound her for so many years. "The spirits of the Mbali Forest are powerful," she said. "They feed on the voices of those they trap, using them to weave their magic. That's why I've been singing all these years. My voice has been there too, keeping me imprisoned here." Amina listened closely, her heart heavy with the weight of her sister's words. She had thought reclaiming her own voice would be the end of her journey, but now she realized that the true battle was just beginning. If they were to free her sister's voice, they would have to confront the spirits of the forest, and that would not be easy. The sisters pressed on, determined to find a way to break the curse, but the forest grew darker and more twisted with each step they took. As the sisters walked deeper into the forest, the air grew colder, and the trees seemed to whisper ominously. Amina couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Suddenly, the spirit of silence appeared before them, its dark cloak billowing in the wind. "You are treading on dangerous ground," the spirit warned, its voice echoing through the trees. "The spirits of this forest will not let you take what they have claimed." Amina's sister stepped forward, her eyes filled with determination. They took my voice, she said, her voice trembling with anger. They have no right to keep me here. The spirit of silence studied the sisters for a long moment before speaking again. If you wish to reclaim the lost voice, you must prove your strength. Only those who are truly worthy can break the curse of the forest. Amina and her sister exchanged a determined look. They had come too far to turn back now. The spirit of silence led the sisters to a hidden grove deep within the forest. There, standing tall and menacing, was an ancient tree with twisted roots that seemed to pulse with dark energy. This is the heart of the forest, the spirit explained. To break the curse, you must confront the power that lies within it. But be warned, few have entered and survived. Amina's sister took a deep breath, her hands trembling slightly. We'll face it together, she said, looking at Amina with determination. The sisters stepped forward, their hearts pounding in their chest. As they approached the tree, the ground beneath their feet seemed to shift, and the air grew thick with tension. They could feel the presence of the spirits watching them, waiting to see if they would succeed or fail. As Amina and her sister stood before the ancient tree, they could feel its immense power pulsing through the air. The tree's twisted branches reached toward the sky, and its roots dug deep into the earth, holding the secrets of the forest within. Amina's sister reached out, her hand trembling as she touched the rough bark of the tree. This is where the curse is strongest, she whispered. The spirits have bound me here, and until we break their hold, I'll never be free. Amina nodded, her heart heavy with the weight of what they had to do. We can do this, she said, her voice steady. We are stronger together. The sisters closed their eyes, focusing their energy on the tree, determined to break the curse that had held them apart for so long. The air around them crackled with tension as the spirits of the forest stirred, watching closely to see if the sisters would succeed in their quest. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share the video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more captivating tales like this. See you in the next story.